Hey everyone, some guy rank stuff here, and today I'm going to rank the playable races in World of Warcraft based on, well, basically how cool I think they are. This one was made by Schaffmeister, I guess, just to give him some credit. Found on Tiermaker, of course. So, just to give you a little bit backstory, I mean, I'm a World of Warcraft player, been playing since 2006. I have been playing really casually since like after Cataclysm, and I'm mostly a Horde player. I've played Horde for most of my life, or actually, it has been most of my life, I guess, which is weird to think about. Um, so I might be a little bit biased towards Horde here, but we'll see how it goes. So we'll start off with the Blood Elf, and one of my favorite races, no doubt. I did actually play a Blood Elf Hunter back in Burning Crusade. Like so many others, I wanted to try out a Blood Elf. They were so cool, and I was starting this new group with a couple of friends. Like some of them were. I already had a level 60 character, but I wanted to start from the beginning with a new character myself because some other friends were joining in when the Burning Crusade came out, and so we did make some Blood Elves together. So I played a Hunter for a while, and I really enjoy that race. It was really unique with how they couldn't be a warrior, like the only race you couldn't be. Well, until Cataclysm anyway. But it's really cool. Not always blonde, but usually you associate them with blonde people. With green eyes though, mostly, which isn't. Well, of course, I have blue eyes, but it's not unlike like Scandinavians or Nordic people with the blonde hair and light colored eyes, which isn't meant to be meant to be a biased thing, just a funny thing, I think. So Dark Iron Dwarfs is something I haven't unlocked yet. I haven't been playing so much with the Alliance characters. I have unlocked Lightforged Draenei, and I think it's just so hard to say it in English. Draenei maybe Draenei, um, and I also have Void Elves. So I think like the Mechanomes and the Dark Iron Dwarves and Cold Tyran. Maybe I have Dark Iron, not sure. Cold Tyran humans, of course, I'm missing, but they're really cool. Dwarves aren't really my favorite, but I think they're a little bit cooler than the normal dwarves, which I think I'll put in B tier to be honest. Draenei, I'm not sure how to say it. Actually, a really cool race. I do recall back to the days of like the Burning Crusade, and like everyone was so hyped about the Blood Elves, but the Draenei was actually really cool also. I think they still are actually. So I think even though I'm not super into this, even though Warcraft is doing it well with having aliens um, in a fantasy setting, and like the orcs are basically aliens from another planet, so are the Draenei, and you can see it like the alien inspiration with these kind of tendrils or not tentacles, I think tendrils that are sticking out from their chins or from their necks. But they're still really cool. I do think it was like a worthy counterpart to the Blood Elves. I didn't feel like the Horde was the only faction to get a really cool race. I think the Draenei was also a really cool thing as well. So we have gnomes and goblins, and I think they're kind of the same. Not too fond of either of them, to be honest. Don't know why. Like they kind of represent the thing I'm like least happy about when it comes to, well, not happy, but the things I'm least interested in when it comes to like fantasy settings. That's the technology. I do like when they have like more middle age kind of technology and magic rather than actual motorized vehicles or robots and stuff. So they kind of represent that thing that I don't dislike, but it's probably my least favorite thing about the Warcraft universe. I was about to say that this was the Tauren, but this is actually the High Mountain Tauren. Um, it's well, I don't think they're too different from the regular Tauren, but I do think it's really cool how they actually have like these. Oh, I'm not sure what the word is. Like, they're not horns. At least we don't call it horns in Norwegian, like we do with oxes or bulls or anything like that. But they're kind of like antlers. Is that right? Antlers, maybe. Um, but I think both the Tauren, like both Tauren versions, are decent at least. It could have maybe been A, but yeah, I think this is how I'll do it. So humans, I mean, of course you need humans in a game, and they're decent, but I actually think maybe they're down at sea. I know they're really popular. Like many people, like many of my friends as well, play human characters, and I just never understood that. Why would you in a fantasy game you get to play from 8 different races, but you want to play as a human? Shouldn't you just try to? Well, it's kind of unfair to say that, not to that I'm trying to make an argument here. Don't you want to like explore this fantasy universe? But the humans have like these deep stories as well in the universe, so it's not like they're not important or anything. So that was kind of a stupid argument, to be honest. But to me, I just want to be anything but a human in this game. So to me, they're actually down here somewhere, I think. The Kulturan humans aren't really that much better, I think. But I do. The one thing I'm gonna say is that I've been trying to play as every race, try to level up at least some race and class combination, where I've used at least more like every race and every class at least once, especially after since the allied races came into the game. Um, so I've tried to play like a Zandalari priest and High Mountain Tauren hunter, just to try the classes again and try to like leveling systems and try to level them up in the old zones after they did the whole revamp to like the Shadowlands revamp. And I do look forward to try to play as a Kulturan human druid actually, and that's mostly because of the whole Drust thing. I'm going to play a feral druid, which I never do actually. I always like balance more, but like the unique appearance of the animals that you can play as a Kulturan druid looks awesome because I love the Drust thing. I think that's maybe the best thing about Battle for Azeroth, like Drustvar and the whole zone there, whole lore behind the place. I think is amazing and really exciting. So that I'm looking forward to. But in general, not too like it doesn't do much for me. And you can already see here, well, maybe except for the torrents though, how I and maybe these two, how I maybe there's some horde bias here, but I don't think there'll be more, to be honest. So Lightforged Draenei, I think maybe isn't as cool as the regular ones, but still really cool. Not bad of an allied race, to be honest. The Manghar race, oh, Manghar orcs, I mean. Um, I don't think they're too different from each other, and I think I'll put them both in A. Like, the humans and orcs are super important to the Warcraft universe. But of course, like I'm gonna like I mentioned with how I question how people would choose to play as a human rather than a fantasy creature. I feel like that's like this placement is kind of obvious when I go with that argument, well, with that set of mind, so to speak. So here's another top tier. I think night elves. Like I'm a big fan of elves in general. Both the night and blood elves are amazing. Um, but I don't think I'm gonna place the Nightborn and the Void Elves in the same tier. I think maybe Void Elves could be an A and the Nightborn here. I think the Void Elves are cooler, but they're not cooler than the regular Night Elves, which also they have deep lore, and the same with the Blood Elves. But like Night Elves are super important, and like the first race I ever played was an undead, but the Night Elf was actually the one I played the most when I was younger. Like when I was first, I was borrowing an account or playing at a friend's house, like in 2006 or something. And I did start out with an undead, but then I changed to a night elf because I was so curious about the druid race and hunter. Basically because of how I was playing Heroes of Might and Magic 4 at the time, and I was so into the druids there, the heroes with the druid class. So I was really curious about the whole thing with like a night elf druid, so I played that a lot. And they're super important. They're huge. They have like this really deep and rich lore in the World of Warcraft. So to me, they're obviously top tier. And these two, well, the Void Elves might not have as deep lore as Nightborn, but I still think they're cooler, to be honest. Pandaran, yeah, not too fond of those either. I'm not like the whole. I did like Mists of Pandaria. It was a great expansion. Not among my absolute favorites, but like they did. Some of the things were silly, like Kung Fu Panda silly, but like far from it all was at that level. Um, but they brought in the monk race, and I'm really not a fond of the monk race. No, not the monk race, monk class. I mean, um, I think that it might not be silly to many, but to me it's silly, and maybe I'm silly for thinking that. But either way, that's how I feel about it. So I guess the trolls, like kind of like the orcs and Tauren, I don't think they're too different from each other. I think I'll put both trolls here. They're a cool race, by all means. But kind of like the Tauren, I'm not too fond of either of those in particular. But I think the Worgen race is kind of, yeah, I think it's up here in A. Werewolves are kind of cool. I haven't played Worgen too much. I do love Gilneas as a zone, and I really have to try to play as a Worgen again to check out that starting zone. But um, I should do that to explore a little bit more. But I still think that the Worgen was a worthy addition and a really cool race to have in World of Warcraft. And then we have the Undead, which is my absolute favorite. Forsaken, rich history from. I have to admit that I played World of Warcraft before I played Warcraft 3, but the whole Forsaken, the Scourge, the history there, I do like. I'm really not attracted. That's the wrong word, but I'm. I do have this fascination for like the undead things in video games and fantasy. So playing as a Forsaken was really cool. As I mentioned, I played Night Elf more in the very beginning, but as soon as I got my own account and started playing for myself, I've played an undead warlock, and I have the same character still to this day, and it's my main, and it's been like that for so many years now. I did play Blood Elf, as I mentioned, during Burn Crusade, but then I went back to the Warlock, the Undead Warlock, at some point. During Wrath of the Lich King, I played an Orc Shaman at some point as well, but even then, I went back to the Undead, and ever since then, I've only made my Undead Warlock ever since. For every expansion, like I haven't tried to level other characters, play on other alts for fun, but my main has always been the Undead Warlock ever since I switched out like the well I didn't reach level 80 with the Orc Shaman, but I did play for a while. I took a break, and then I went back to the Warlock. So yeah, ever since like half Wrath of the Lich King up until this point, Undead Warlock has been my main character, and it's been my favorite ever since. So there you have it. Of course, again, this is just my opinion. I'm neither right or wrong. I'm just trying to express what I think are the coolest playable races in World of Warcraft. So thank you for watching, and please leave a comment if you have anything to say to me.